Hey everyone, welcome to WarriorDNA. My name is Staci Wallace and it's a beautiful, beautiful Sunday here in Dallas, Texas. Today we are actually going to have some fun talking about current events this week that have happened. But WarriorDNA is basically where we take current events, we turn them into biblical success strategies that you can actually apply to your business this week. We're redefining, of course, the F word: faith, family, finance, fitness, and freedom every single week. And this week, we are actually talking about 3 traits to becoming a legacy leader. Now, everybody always talks about how to find success. We hear a lot about talking about how to find significance. Today, we're going to talk about how to become a legacy leader and what that means. Now, this week, first off, before we go into this, I really want to encourage you, share this with everybody you know, especially if you've got a team. I want to encourage you to share this. These are biblical success strategies. Why is that important? Today I have been watching the U.S. Open. I hope you guys are watching it too. You may not be into that, but I'm a really big tennis fan. Play 3 times a week. Love it a lot. Just watched Serena. It was a crazy, crazy match. A little bit on our edge, but again, advancing in the U.S. Open. One of the things that was really significant today, even when Nadal played, it was not an easy match. It looked really like it was going to be an easy match for him to win. Stick with me because this talks about being a legacy leader. But basically, Nadal was up, I think, like 6-3, 6-3, and then all of a sudden his opponent, can't even begin to say his last name, but his opponent comes in and just crushes it. And they end up playing for like, how many hours did they play? Like 3.5 hours. It was crazy. And it was interesting because Serena went into another match where it looked like she was going to crush the girl. Actually had the shortest match ever. I think it was like 18 minutes. She was just acing serve after serve after serve. And honestly, it looked really, really bad for the opponent. And then all of a sudden, the opponent comes back and she is like beating Serena. So, of course, the commentators that are there, they're talking about the match and they say how important it is for there to be a real adversary in tennis so that when you're playing, you want to make sure you continue to have to push forward and push in your best. And why is that important? Because even if you win that game, even if you win all the sets there, you know what, when you get into the finals, you want to have overcome some obstacles because it changes your gameplay, changes your adrenaline. Well, we're going to talk about that today because, in 2 Chronicles 21:22, it actually talks about something called the threshing floor. In order to be a legacy leader, you are going to have experienced the threshing floor of life. Now, what is that? Now, we're going to talk about this real quick over the next few minutes. But the threshing floor is basically that season of time or that place where, with the threshing floor, basically is where they would put the wheat and they would separate the wheat from the chaff. Now, why is that important? Because you can eat the wheat, but you cannot eat the chaff. So you want to separate what is edible and what is non-edible. In other words, what is duplicative and what is discard. You're going to have some things in your life that you want to duplicate to future generations, and then you're going to have some things in life that you want to discard. Even in direct sales, even in business development, you're going to have some things that are really worth duplicating and others that you want to let go of. That's the same thing. We call it the press. When you're in life, when you're in business, when you're in the middle of a match or a football game, the press is when everything isn't just easy. Actually, it's very uncomfortable. But growth and comfort do not happen in the same sphere. You've got to have discomfort in order to have growth. Well, when we talk about becoming a legacy leader this week, interestingly enough, we had a lot of very notable deaths this week. Of course, you probably know Senator John McCain passed away this week. We'll talk about that. Aretha Franklin, about 10 days ago, passed away. Neil Simon passed away, great playwright, screenwriter. We also had Robin Leach of The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, passed away. Maybe somebody you don't know that passed away, because you hear a lot about people who are in media or entertainment or politics, but you don't hear about Sister Nirmala Joshi, I think it was. I probably butchered that. But she was a significant passing. She's the sister that took over from Mother Teresa after Mother Teresa passed away. And she also passed away this week. So why is that significant? Because a lot of people come and go, and there's a lot of people that we don't hear about over in mission fields that I believe are going to have the biggest crowns in heaven. Those are some of the people right now that got to be rewarded on earth. We don't know what their crowns will be. We don't know if they laid up for themselves treasures in heaven. My husband's like rocking the camera today. But we don't know what their crown's going to be like. But we do know that those who endure generally are those who build a legacy. So I don't know what you're going through today, but I really felt like it was significant to talk about that threshing floor and what it takes to become a notable legacy leader. There's basically 5 characteristics that every legacy leader has, but there's also 3 seasons that every leader goes through. And to become a legacy leader, you've got to make it through each season. Now, we know there's a lot of leaders in the Bible that died before they ever got to experience. So they were a footnote, but they were not a legacy leader. Legacy leaders would be like Jesus. Legacy leader would be like Mary, the apostles, the disciples. They went through a threshing floor, a ripping season, a season where they feel like they're losing everything. Everything seems to be caving in around them. But because they were able to endure, the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Let's just talk about John McCain for just a second. Why is it that today John McCain is being so recognized that he is, all the different presidents and world leaders are coming around to say, we love this man. Why? Because not only was he a war hero, but he was a man of character and integrity that stood for something bigger than himself. So let's just think about John McCain. Of course, we could talk about Aretha Franklin. We could talk about a number of leaders. I love me some Aretha. You guys know that. And I loved watching most of the memorial service. But I loved watching that memorial service. But even we could take this through Aretha Franklin or any great world leader, Billy Graham. Watch this. Here's 5 traits that every leader will go through. Well, first let me talk about the 3 seasons. The first season is in your 20s and your 30s. Those are the days where you're really mostly focused on how to be successful. How can I reach that rank? How can I achieve greatness? How can I make a name for myself? How can I be known as a somebody? So it really is focused on success in those 20s and 30s. And then what happens in your 40s and 50s is you've had children, maybe your children are having children, and now you realize, whoa, wait a minute, it's not about me. I was about success, but now I've moved from success to significance. Now, what is significance? Significance means you're now wanting to duplicate yourself into others. It's not just about you getting a name for yourself or you being able to have success. You're wanting to teach other people how to do it. Your children, maybe your grandchildren. You're wanting to leave that significant mark to say, if I have any knowledge, any wisdom, any understanding, I want to pass it on. That's your 40s and 50s. You really do think about significance. But there is a round. You go from success to significance, and the third realm is legacy. Now, generally, that takes place is when somebody's had success and significance, they move into legacy building 60 years old and older. What is that? Instead of it just being about, I want to know what I do, I want to be known for what I do, it's really about who you become in the process. And it's also about how to leave layers of remembrance. So significance is, I am significant because I've passed it on to the next generation. Legacy is I passed it on good enough to that generation that it now is going to outlive decades past my generation. So my children's children, or my team, my people that I sponsored in my team and their teams, or your business and the businesses that you've impacted, because that's legacy leadership, when it moves into layers of leadership. Now, how do you become a legacy leader? I promise you, I guarantee you, I double dog dare you to prove me wrong. You cannot be a legacy leader without the threshing floor. You cannot be a legacy leader. Let's just look at John McCain, for example. And we're going to go through the 5 traits of a legacy leader. Number 1 is they had to work hard for success. They had to do something to get on the map. They did something that proved, I can do this. I can make something happen. You know, whether it was Jesus when he was walking the earth and he was just proving principles, laying hands on the sick. There was a season of success where the Bible says his fame spread throughout the earth. Mary's success was obviously overcoming all of the ridicule to have
a baby even when she was a virgin, right? We could go through Oprah Winfrey or Bill Gates. There was a season where it was all about them proving their success. Number two is they had to sacrifice. Let's look at John McCain, for example. Sure, he was successful in that he was able to become a military officer. It takes a level of success to be able to do that. But the struggle, the threshing floor, the pain season, the sacrifice season is really what moves you from success to significance. Now, John McCain, obviously, he was a war hero, POW, and not only do we know that there's a lot of people who were prisoners of war, but not everybody paid the price, bones broken, crushing, giving up his opportunity to be released and saying, no, there's guys I want to go before me. The sacrifice of John McCain and then coming out, not only did he do that as a prisoner of war, but he did that in politics. He wasn't always just 100% pro his party. He made sure that he was going to stand for things that mattered most to what his core values were, what his integrity was. So there was some sacrifice, there was struggle in that. Number three is legacy leaders, they create, they innovate, they create networks, they create policies, they create music, they create screenplays, they create something that even if they die, it lasts beyond them. This is a season of my life where I've known that most of my life God has had a spotlight on me. Ever since I was about 16 years old, I've been in the public eye, professional speaker, singer, traveled around the world. So I've had the spotlight on me. Moving from success to significance is when you say, you know what, I really want to make a difference in other people's lives. If I just hear people say, wow, Staci, you're amazing, I have failed. But if people say, wow, Staci, if you can do it, I can do it, well, that's success, and that requires transparency. Let people know about the struggle that you had to go through in order to get to where you are. But here's the best part, number four is breaking records. So number one is working hard. Number two is sacrifice. Number three is create something that can live beyond you. That's why we're helping so many people write their book. Jamie Dahl, you guys watch out. This girl is crushing it right now in her book writing. We're helping her write her book. She just posted, got hundreds and hundreds of people commenting, I want your book, I want your book. Who is she? She's just an ordinary woman who just survived breast cancer, but her story is going to live beyond her because of what she learned in that process. Number four is breaking records. For her, it was breaking through that diagnosis of breast cancer. For you, it might be breaking a record in a company. It might be breaking records because of a curse that's been on your family, and you're the one to finally step up and allow yourself to go through a threshing floor experience so that you can be different than the rest of your family. How do you leave a legacy as an ordinary girl or an ordinary boy? Break the curse that's been upon your family. It's a financial curse or a curse of infidelity or unforgiveness. Maybe you have a family who they just continue to fight with each other. Be that love maker. Be that one that comes in and creates unity instead of division. That's being a record breaker, a curse breaker, doing something of significance that no one expects of you to do, but you do it by the power of God that's in you. And then number five is recognizing that the process of becoming a legacy leader is not what you do, but who you become in the process. Listen at this. This is the quotes that were spoken over John McCain by President George Bush. He remembered John McCain after he passed away. John McCain passed away at 81 years old. George Bush said, so vivid, it's difficult to imagine them have ended. Some voices are so vibrant, it's hard to think of them even stilled. John McCain was a man of deep conviction and a leading voice, a patriot of the highest order. Wall Street Journal said John McCain was a principled leader. We call him a war hero, a statesman, a maverick, and one of the leading voices in American politics. How do you have a voice that lives beyond your lifetime? How do you have a legacy that lives beyond your dash line of when you were born, dash to when you died? Leave an imprint on others. Let the threshing floor of this season of your life let it change you. Let it restore you. Let it make you want to be a better man. Let it make you want to be a better woman. I have a little concern about all these power women stepping up. I want to make sure, because my life, I know I can be powerful in the marketplace and I can be powerful in the boardroom, but there's no place in the world that I will be number one in the world at consistently. And that is in my home. I'll be the number one mom to Peyton and Alexia. I'll be the number one wife to Larry Wallace. I want to make sure my lady bosses out there don't forsake the legacy that you can leave in your family, because it's the place, I promise you, the older you get, the more you'll want to know you left an imprint on the lives of your family. Leave a legacy today. Make sure that you share this. Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody's going through a threshing floor experience right now where they feel like they're being ripped up. God is not burying you, He's planting you. God is not hiding you, He's preserving you. He's allowing you to go through some changes right now so that your life can truly leave a legacy on this generation and generations to come. Share this, let everybody know, like it, leave me a comment. I'd love to know where you're tapping in from. Make sure you follow us this week on our podcast. Women podcasts are like blowing up. We're having so much growth there. emwomen.com/podcast. You can go over there and check it out. If you need prayer today, emwomen.com/pray. Let us pray for you. We've got a team of 24-hour intercessors ready to pray for you, ready to pray for your business, pray for your faith, family, finance, fitness, and freedom. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.